Severe weather last night sent nearly 24 Denver-bound flights to Colorado Springs, and medics were called to help. Thanks for joining us at 4. I'm Phil Lipoff.
I'm Kim Christensen, and while we don't know exactly what happened in the air, we do know 5 people were checked out after the turbulence. 9 News reporter Ria Jha joins us now to explain what passengers can control when a flight gets bumpy.
Yeah, Kim, and obviously the weather is a lot calmer out here right now, but yesterday when the weather was weathering, after all of those diversions, 5 people needed medical attention. 1 person was sent to the hospital, and because of HIPAA laws, we don't exactly know if it was the turbulence that caused those medical issues or what exactly those medical issues were, but we did speak with our 9 News aviation expert on what you can do during those extreme turbulence situations. Severe weather forced 22 flights, including 4 international flights, to divert from DIA to Colorado Springs Monday evening.
If you hear a pilot ahead of you say, "We're out of here, we're going to go somewhere else," then a lot of the folks behind them will typically make that same decision.
The airport says 5 passengers across multiple flights received medical help. 1 went to the hospital.
My first thought is, were they warned by the flight crew of the potential for that turbulence?
Officials haven't said what kind of help those passengers needed or whether turbulence caused their medical issues. 9 News aviation expert Greg Feith says what happens before the plane starts shaking matters as much as what's happening during it.
As a passenger, you have to heed the warning.
He says the most common injuries are when people don't have their seatbelts on right.
It's the flailing type injuries. It's that movement back and forth, especially in the economy class where there is the seat that is almost in your face.
Greg says wear the belt low and tight.
You don't want that lap belt up around your stomach. You actually want it across the lower part of your pelvis, across the top of your thighs, if you will. But if you're tight in the seat, now you're moving as one. The seat is able to absorb a lot of those, sharp impacts.
A simple habit worth keeping, especially if you frequently fly in and out of Denver.
Because of our mountains, we always have turbulence, and that turbulence starts about 150 miles east of Denver. That's almost a given during the summertime.
So a laptop can turn into a flying object very quickly, so make sure you put those things away. And that expert we spoke with said a child can also turn into a flying object very quickly, so make sure you hold your child close with your arms or with a carrier. And one thing he said not to do ever is to put a seatbelt over you and your child. That can turn into a dangerous situation very quickly. So very good tips there, and we'll hopefully be listening to those. Reporting in Denver, Ria Jha, 9 News.
Ria, those flights, I think all of us have been on one where it got really bumpy. And if people are scared to fly, that is the worst. Sometimes the people around you, you can sense their anxiety.
Exactly. That aviation expert we spoke with, he said, when people are more scared, they tend to flail a lot more, which is exactly what you shouldn't do in those situations. So stay calm, kind of stay put, and stay against the seat.
Definitely try not to flail.
No, I know. Keep your arms tight. Thank you, Ria. That's good advice.
Yes,
so,
don't flail.
All right, let's take some good news out of it because it is so much cooler today. Denver saw a 50-degree temperature swing from last night to this morning. The bad news, though, we could see it in Ria's shot, that smoke and haze over the front range, and it's worse than it was yesterday.
Chief Weather Impact Meteorologist Kathy Sabin joins us now. Kathy, it is hazy, you're right. You could see it behind Ria, but
yeah.
The cooler temperature is certainly nice after the last month that we had.
It was amazing. It felt like a fall morning. It felt like September until you walk out to walk the dog and you take in a big gulp of that smoky air and you're like, nope, still summer, still August. Yes, it is. And the smoke and haze really dense and thick over Denver. Air quality alerts continue for the majority of the state through tomorrow morning. But we think tomorrow we're going to see a little bit of improvement with another wind shift. So I think by tomorrow morning we'll start to see some better air. Smoke's all around us though, and it's something we'll probably be forecasting all week long. And the air quality alerts kind of ebb and flow. They cancel and expire, and then we start to see those include all of the areas across the state again. But as Bill mentioned, the big story today, temperatures, how about 69 in Castle Rock, 72 in Denver. These temperatures are 26 degrees cooler this hour than we were at this point yesterday. Tracking a couple gusty thunderstorms on the radar. Will anybody get some rain? I'll have that forecast coming up in weather in just a bit.
Thanks, Kathy. A former police sergeant and former Parker Officer of the Year pleaded guilty this week to charges of sexual misconduct. Troy Brienza was accused of inappropriate actions with 2 young women who are part of the department's Explorers program. It's designed to help young people explore a career in law enforcement. Parker police say Brienza resigned from the department during the investigation. His sentencing is set for October.
In Spokane, Washington, a man has been arrested accused of starting one of the devastating wildfires there. And this comes as some people are going back home for the first time and getting a chance to survey the damage.
The fires have burned more than 8,000 acres, destroying at least 700 homes, and officials say that number is only going to rise. NBC's Morgan Chesky reports from Spokane.
Yeah, here in Spokane, despite the level of devastation that we're essentially standing in the middle of, officials are quick to say that this firefight is far from over. Investigators do say, however, that this 37-year-old Spokane man identified as Aaron Farnucci that they have in custody, they believe is tied to starting the Old Trails fire, which is responsible for all of the damage that you see here. One of 3 blazes that make up that larger Spokane complex fire. This individual is expected to be in court. He's been held on suspicion of arson. And what's interesting is that authorities initially encountered him on Saturday after witnesses say that he appeared nervous and was kind of hiding in the brush near where one of these fires began. Officials did notice that on his body he had a butane lighter and waterproof matches. In the meantime, there is an all-hands-on-deck approach to try to get some level of containment on these fires. At last check, if not zero containment, it's very close to that. They're battling geography with a steep terrain. They're also battling Mother Nature. Right now, the temperature isn't hot per se, but there is a heat wave headed to this area for at least the next 4 or 5 days, and that will just increase the fire risk throughout this northeastern Washington area. In the meantime, tens of thousands of people cannot even get back to what's left of their homes because these evacuation orders remain in place out of fears of a potential reignition due to the fact that it is still so dry here and that there is, in some cases, pockets of plentiful fuel. Certainly a bleak outlook right now for so many here in Spokane as these fires continue to burn. We'll send it back to you.
Hundreds of Cargill employees in Fort Morgan are not back to work just yet after they voted down a contract offer. Cargill locked out 1,700 employees back in May after contract negotiations failed. Last week, Cargill said they had a deal and the union endorsed it, but yesterday's vote failed by a slim margin. The union released a statement that says, in part, they're disappointed that employees voted against the union recommended settlement and that they are evaluating next steps. We'll hear from a member of the union ahead on 9 News at 5.
Some big updates from the Broncos today, from a star player shaking off an injury at training camp to a look at what the area around the new stadium could look like.
Chris Tavares joins us now with the latest. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Phil. Hey, Kim. We'll get to the Broncos in a moment. But first, we're here in Fort Collins because Colorado State opens up training camp tomorrow under new head coach Jim Moore. And we're going to have plenty more on that coming up later in the show around 4:40, 4:45. But first, the big news of the day, which you all both already alluded to, and that's that Nick Bonito leaving practice today with an apparent lower leg injury. Sean Payton played it off as no big deal, telling reporters that he'll be fine and that he doesn't have any other updates. We'll hear from team insider Mike Kliss with more on that coming up today at 5 o'clock. But earlier in the day, before practice got started, the team released a more complete site layout for their preferred site for a new stadium, Burnham Yard. The renderings feature trails, reworked traffic patterns, an emphasis on running and biking paths, and green space. For Sean Payton, he appreciates the Walton Penner ownership group's investment in the team and the community, even if he is still trying to wrap his head around this new planned site.
When I saw the drawings for I'm still trying to figure out this one here. I think we're all fortunate to have this chapter with them in a leadership position, in an ownership position.
The Broncos are hoping to have this stadium wrapped up and open by 2031, just 5 short years away. Guys?
That's kind of a good play to release all this right after they unveil that new headquarters and how fancy that is, and everybody loves it.
Like a 1-2 punch. Mm-hmm. All right,
a lot of changes for the Broncos.
Thanks so much. Hopefully one of them won't be Nick Bonito being injured.
No.
Chris, thank you.